Good evening and welcome to the Hip Historian Virtual Happy Hour Tour. I am Brenda Holt with the Arizona State Office of AARP. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation and approximately 900,000 right here in Arizona, we work to strengthen communities and we advocate for what matters most to families, such as health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. During the month of February, we will focus on caregiving by providing specific tools and information to help caregivers tackle post-holiday concerns, along with legal and financial issues. We understand the caregiving journey can be difficult and lonely, but we want you to know you are not alone. We are here for you and will help you navigate the challenging road ahead. Visit us at www.aarp.org/caregiving for more resources and information. You can also visit us at www.aarp.org/nearme to find out what local events we have coming up in the state. We hope you enjoy the tour tonight. Now I'll turn things over to Marshall Shore.
Folks, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
Well, hello, good evening. I want to welcome you all to Arizona History Happy Hour. Thank you all so much for being here today. Oh, just wait, as we go through Arizona History Happy Hour, well, my name is Marshall Shore. I want to welcome you. I know we've got some folks out there watching on a variety of different formats, so just happy you could all be here on February 24th. Now, February 24th is not just any day. Why, oh my gosh, back in 1863, that is when Arizona became a territory. So we were part of a huge conglomerate, including New Mexico territory. And so we became our own area. As well as today pays homage to a food that's often ignored, but, can be quite important. And that would be toast. So, my mom always made toast. When she made it, she knew her toast was done when the smoke alarm went off. I was much more subtle and just liked it a little brown on both sides, not just on one. And so, there's lots of variation. Just like today is National Chili Day. And, it goes from, do you like your chili spicy? Do you want it with beans? Do you like it Cincinnati style? Do you like a secret ingredient that you're not willing to tell anybody? And then there's all those cook-offs where people just try to show that they have indeed the best chili and hiding all those ingredients so they can try and get the leg up. Now, it is also World Bartender Day. So every time we go out, say thank you to those amazing bartenders who whip up some pretty nice beverages. And we will talk about that in just a little bit. It is also Mexican Flag Day. Now, the modern Mexican flag basically is an eagle atop a cactus eating a snake. Now, that symbol comes from a legend where Aztecs saw and witnessed that in a legend. And so that's where they chose to set down roots. And that became Mexico City. So that's why we have that as the Mexican flag. So it's a busy day today. So let's keep moving on because we got a lot to cover. So what can you expect? I know we have a few folks who have not seen the show before. And so we always do a little bit of Arizona trivia, as well as some music history. We do a little town in Arizona, and we have a beverage, as well as a special guest, and then from the vault. And today I really do mean from the vault, as you'll find out in just a little bit. So if this is your first time here, you might be wondering, who is that man and why is he on my screen? So my name is Marshall Shore, and I got to Arizona 22 years ago. Now, you might wonder, why would you want to do something like moving from New York to Phoenix? Well, it just takes one look at the weather right now, and you'll see exactly why I'm not there. I mean, I was working in a beautiful Carnegie building, but decided to trade all that snow, slush, and blistering wind for a little library in South Phoenix. Now, when I got there, there was a rich oral tradition of kind of how the community there had evolved. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Now, we promptly moved in to a little beautiful 1956 ranch house. And I'm happy to say it is now simplified, because it was so many tones of beige. It's now just two: seafoam and cantaloupe. There's what my kitchen looks like today. All that buttercream yellow tile, fresh still from 1956, as well as the matching appliances that match all that buttercream yellow tile. Now, as soon as we got here, all I kept hearing about how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true, because every time I went somewhere, I would come face to face with so many amazing people, places, and stories. And that's what we just keep sharing, more and more stories. Now, also, I think a lot of Arizona changed when that post-war boom hit. All those GIs that either were stationed here, trained here, or passed on their way to somewhere else, and after the war, they were moving here in huge numbers, and in some cases looking for a house just like mine. Now, I said my name is Marshall Shore. I'm also known as the Hip Historian. Now, you might wonder, what does that really mean? Well, that means I get to play with Arizona history. And so we've got coming up, actually, the third weekend of March, we have our Haunted History Tour coming up, as well as I am now embarking on an LGBTQ book of Phoenix history that's already been fascinating. I've only been working on it for just a few weeks, and already fun. Well, in March, we will also be doing an adult story time where we can chat about community history. And I'm doing a really fun program for residents of Casablanca that's already been such a learning moment, and reaching out to all kinds of folks to talk about the history of one of those places that I think a lot of folks know about, but don't know much about. So it's been a lot of fun so far. And March 5th, Melrose Street Fair, I'm going to be there with a handful of other folks chatting about history and so much more. So please come on down and join us. That's Saturday, March 5th. And then just a few days later, I'm going to be up in Wickenburg at the Desert Caballeros Museum with Eduardo Pagan and some other folks. And we're going to be talking about Western films. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see what we pick as kind of what do we like in Western films and what makes a Western film. So keep tuned for that as more it develops. So also, I see some folks have already found the chat. We also, if you're not able to get something in the chat, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, email, or even through my website. It's all Hip Historian connected. So, because it is World Bartender Day, PJ, who has been my kind of right hand, actually, even more important than that. He's the one that creates a beverage every week. We've, I think, done over 70 some beverages, all kind of telling a theme. And so today is no different than that. And so today we are talking a cocktail called Jerry's Rest. Now it's got tangerine, lemon, yuzu, lavender, sugar, and something called Liquid Death sparkling water. So I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, But really the reason for the cocktail is because Jerry Thomas is the godfather of modern bartending. And so this is a unique mocktail. So he has the day off. And there's also a bit of lavender in here. So that way, after the show, it will help me sleep. So, because I'm not going to be able to do that while the show's going on. We're going to be having far too much fun. Oh, I like that yuzu really comes through in there. Oh, nice. All right. All right, so now we're going to talk about Little Arizona, because, I talk about being from New York, but I really grew up in a little tiny town in Indiana of about 25 people. And that's one of the other reasons why I moved to New York, because I wanted to go where something actually happened. And so we are going to talk about Page, Arizona, which is up in Coconino County, has a population of just over 7,500, but is a relatively new place, established back in 1957. Now, originally it was built as a camp for the workers who were building the Glen Canyon Dam. And it's actually right next to the Navajo Nation. And they actually traded 24 square miles of Navajo land were exchanged for a larger tract up in Utah, originally called a government camp. Later, its name was changed to Page in honor of the Bureau of Reclamation's commissioner, then John C. Page. But long before that, for centuries, the canyonlands and sandstone cliffs surrounding what is now known as Page was home to ancient Pueblo people whose culture encompassed an enormous geographic region known as the Colorado Plateau. Now, if you go up there, you'll find some really beautiful things. You'll find things like Antelope Canyon, which is a slot canyon that through the years of erosion of water have created these amazing kind of reverse canyons where it actually is smaller at the top and gets wider at the bottom. Now, there is a caveat. When you go into these, you have to go with a Navajo guide. And one of the things they do is they have folks stationed there because the water can come in really quickly. So they always have to be aware of not what's right there immediately, but maybe even what's an hour away coming that way. But it is indeed gorgeous and great place to go get some photos and some selfies. Now, Glen Canyon Dam is what created the town, as well as Lake Powell. Now, today it offers water storage and hydroelectric power. When it was implemented, it was controversial because of the flooding that occurred, the communities that were submerged. And it was also a catalyst for the modern environmental rights movement. Now, some folks are still advocating for it to be removed. But other advocates say, because of the energy and water storage, it is still very much necessary. Now, you can also go on a tour of Lake Powell, which is quite beautiful. And because you can get right up to some of those cliffs and have a really amazing adventure on a boat. And there were lots of movies that were made there. I highlighted the ones that make it look like another worldly place, like Gravity, John Carter. Why, even Doctor Who filmed an episode up there, as well as both Planet of the Apes were both filmed there. So it really looks very futuristic. So if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend going up to that neck of the woods. It really is beautiful and really does look otherworldly. All right, so now we get ready for our special guest. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to bring on my friend Dineta.
Hey, can you see me?
I can. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
All right.
Welcome to my dungeon.
So you're drinking the same thing that I'm drinking.
I am having this fabulous Jerry. It's Jerry Reed. Oh, it's beautiful. I love
Jerry's
it.
Rest.
Jerry's Rest. Oh my goodness, it is yummy.
And so, you know, it was so funny when PJ sent me the recipe and it said Liquid Death. I was like, I'd never heard of that. And you were like, oh, I have cases of that stored away.
Yes, I have cases of Liquid Death. It's just a wonderful sparkling water. And, you know, everyone wants to know what's Liquid Death, you know, and it's just water. And I think it's a great marketing scheme, you know.
Exactly. Everything I was reading was like, oh, it's just a marketing ploy, which I think is really kind of funny.
Yeah.
So Dineta, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Dineta Williams-Trigg. I am an actor, director, producer, writer, film festival director. I'm based here in the Valley, but I do a lot of traveling outside of the Valley and outside of the world. You know, meeting people and talking about film, my love of film. So I'm really happy and honored to be here with you tonight, Marshall.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have so fun. I mean, yeah, I just saw you on Saturday.
Yes.
Actually, it was Sunday for the Worldwide Women Festival, which was so much fun.
It was fun.
See, and people say, "Hey, I remember seeing her on Sunday because you were the question master, dangling all of us on and down on front as we were talking about the movie you were all in."
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it was a great film. You did a great job, Marshall. Great job.
And so we do trivia here. So we always have trivia. It's always multiple choice. And the fun of it is because we don't just, you know, it's not bar trivia where it's like all they're concerned about is, well, did you get the answer right or wrong? The fun part is really learning why that's the answer and kind of a little bit more behind it.
Yes.
So we have some trivia that you created. And we're going to tell some fun stories about that.
Yes, I was excited about it. It took me a minute to get going, but you know, I've watched every movie that we're talking about tonight in trivia, and some of them I absolutely loved. Some of them not so much, but you know, they all they have that Arizona connection, right?
Right. Oh,
so that's what I really liked about it.
I'm surprised you had trouble coming up with those in your dungeon because I mean they all seem to have a little dark side to them.
Absolutely, and I have a dark sense of humor,
which I'm kind of shocked by. Oh my gosh! So now, as we do trivia, people can keep track of their answers. Some folks do it in the chat. Some folks do it. I mean, I had one friend who did on his leg with a marker. Whatever makes you happy, you go for it.
Yeah, let's just have fun. Let's have fun.
That is the whole goal, is to have fun.
And if you haven't seen any of these movies, they're all available to rent, to buy. So check them out. And, you know, just so that you know a little bit of Arizona history, right?
Exactly. We cover a wide swath of some of those movies.
Absolutely.
From all over the state.
Absolutely. And, you know, they all tend to, you're right, be a little dark. That's what I love about them.
Just like Liquid Death.
Absolutely. Cheers. Cheers to Liquid Death. Let me see.
That's right. Cheers to Liquid Death.
That's right.
Oh, and you were so fancy. You put a garnish on yours.
Oh yeah, I put a little I can never find my camera. A little orange slide.
Nice.
You know? Yeah, I'm trying to be fancy. I can never be as fancy as you, Marshall, but I'm trying.
Oh, I'm fancy in my own mind, if nowhere else. So. All right, so let's go for our first question.
Okay.
And that is, where was the first film festival held in the U.S.? Was it A, Miami, Florida, B, Wichita, Kansas, C, Savannah, Georgia, or D, Columbus, Ohio? So where do you think the first film festival held in the U.S. was? And while you're pulling out your globe trying to figure that part out, we're going to quickly speed on to the next one. So what year was that film festival held? Was it A, 1962, B, 1919, C, 1952, or 1970? Wow. So were there talkies at this film festival? Was it just black and white? All right. So moving on to question 3. In which film did Alfred Hitchcock include the Phoenix skyline? Was it A, Bugs, B, The Exorcist, C, Psycho, or D, The Birds? So which one of those movies included the Phoenix skyline? All right, moving on to question 4. What's the name of the H.G. Wells novel that has been adapted several times for radio and film? Was it A, Mars Attacks, B, The Birds, C, War of the Worlds, or D, Creature from the Black Lagoon? All right, moving on to question 5. Night of the Lepus, filmed in 1972, is about what? A, killer raccoons, B, unhappy rats, C, gigantic rabbits, or D, sassy red pandas? Now, I think I'd go see all of those. So I am no help. I'm giving you no clues because they all sound kind of fun.
Yes.
Especially those sassy red pandas. Oh my gosh. All right. So question 6. Captain Kirk is a veterinarian and rides a horse in Camp Verde in what creepy film? Was it A, Kingdom of the Spiders, B, T.J. Hooker, C, Star Trek, or D, The Unexplained? Ooh, which one of those creepy films was filmed right up in Camp Verde? All right, moving on to question 7. Arizona Vampires, who knew? Name the 1987 film directed by Catherine Bigelow. Was it A, Nosferatu, B, Vamp, C, Bordello of Blood, or D, Near Dark? All right, so that 87 film, which one was it? All right, so here we're talking about Angels Go to War in what 1995 fantasy thriller starring Christopher Walken? A, Angels in the Outfield, B, Angels and Demons, C, The Prophecy, or D, Angels with Dirty Faces? All right, so which one of those movies has an Arizona connection and filmed in 95 and is about angels going to war? Question 9. In 2002, these arachnids went wild. Name the film. A, Tarantula, B, Arachnophobia, C, Earth vs. the Spider, or D, Eight-Legged Freaks? So which one of those is the 2002 movie all about arachnids going wild? All right, and here we have question 10. What 2007 film is also known as Alien Invasion? Was it A, Extra, B, Mac and Me, C, Mars Attacks, or D, The Selena Incident? All right, so moving on because we have a bonus question.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, darn, I had a bell out here to ring and I've lost my bell. Oh, well, no, I guess no bell ringing. All right, so our bonus question is, name the 2010 remake film that has a lake full of killers. So was it Jaws? Was it Piranha 3D? Was it C, Tentacles, or D, Killer Fish? So what 2010 remake has an Arizona connection and has one of those creatures in a lake? All right. So while you are gathering up your final answers, we're going to take a little bit of an Arizona music break, and we are going to talk about Mega Ran. So Mega Ran started off as a teacher in Philadelphia. He is now known as a rapper, a hero, a Guinness World Record holder, and does a lot for the community. He blends education, hip hop, and a personal passion of his, which is gaming, into new ways. And so it creates a whole unique style of rhythm for his eclectic performances. Now, when he got here to Phoenix, he really got struck by a creative strike of lightning and really synergized that and really pulled together video games, comic books, pop culture, which were all so important to him. They really seep their way into how he presents himself on stage. So he has hit albums, collaborations across the globe. Though he is no longer a teacher in title, he maintains a schedule of touring across the globe, recording, and likes to entertain and educate through rhyme. So let's give a round of applause for Mega Ran. All right, indeed. All right, so who is ready for some answers? I bet there's a handful of folks out there that are just, should I say, dying for answers? All right, so where was the first film festival held in the U.S.? Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, Columbus, Ohio, the Columbus International Film and Video Festival, 1952.
Indeed, because that's our next question.
I know. I think I gave the answer way too early.
So, all right. So we know it was 1952. So tell us about why is this film festival important?
Well, because I think it was, it's not the oldest film festival in the world, but it was the very first film festival held in the U.S. So can you imagine, back in 1952 and how films were made? Certainly it's changed since then, but I think it was just an important milestone, getting together filmmakers, different filmmakers to film. I don't necessarily see it being extremely diverse at that time, but still, I think the opportunity to get together and tell stories, on film is a wonderful opportunity,
And film has definitely changed since that time period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I love about film today is there are more stories being told, different kinds of stories, right?
Well, I mean, right. I think with technology, it's much more accessible as opposed to it used to be only a few who had lots of backing.
Exactly. Lots of money. I would say the elite, right? So now you can take your camera out and make a
I mean, you can do one with your phone.
Absolutely.
So it's making stories much more accessible. And I think we're really starting to see kind of that permeate kind of what in the social consciousness in terms of what people are wanting to watch.
Absolutely.
And always looking for unique stories. Yeah.
And so I feel like there's no excuse if you want to make a film you can make a film. There's no excuse. You can take your camera. I love James Cameron has a quote where he says, anyone can be a director if you want to. Pick up a camera, film something, whether you have to cast your mother and your sister in it, but do it. And now you're a filmmaker. Now you're a director. Everything after is just negotiating your fee. So I think it's great. If people, if that's your passion, if that's what you want to do it, do it.
Right. Exactly. Tell your story or someone else's story, but tell a story.
Absolutely. My first film, I shot it at my house, in my dining room, just because, I wanted to tell the story and it fit, in my house. So.
Very good. So that at least you knew the set well.
That's right. I had dinner at the table every night that I did see the film. Oh.
All right. So which film did Alfred Hitchcock include the Phoenix Skyline? And it was Psycho.
Hey, yeah.
Back in 1960, opened up with that huge kind of sweep.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then it just, it took a turn for the worst, didn't it, Psycho?
It did. I mean, but what I love is the fact that it's like you can go to the Hilton Garden Inn. Mm-hmm. They have a bar there called the 13th Floor. Mm-hmm. And that is where the camera was when it did the sweep across the Phoenix skyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which looks a lot different then than it does now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it didn't, they settled on the old Jefferson Hotel in that window, off of Central. So, yeah, I thought it was an incredible shot.
It really was. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And I mean, and it's still, it's such a great classic shot of Phoenix back in the day.
Back in the day. That's right.
So, all right. What was the name of H.G. Wells' novel that's been adapted several times for radio and film? And it'd be War of the Worlds.
Yes, War of the Worlds. And so a lot of people are like, what's the scene? But it's just a little short scene where there's military men. And so I think it was Fort Huachuca. Am I pronouncing that correctly? And so it's just a quick scene of that with the actual guys in the military. So, but it's there,
Well, see, and then I also included this because let me go back. Bump. So I actually was able to listen to one of the local radio stations rebroadcast it.
Wow.
As a radio drama using modern day. It was done in, I think, the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it was first broadcast on like a Halloween night on the radio. The film, because they adopted it to film, I think the first time like in 53, I believe. But it was terrifying for people. They didn't know. They had to several times say, this is just a radio adaptation. It's not happening. It's not real. But people panicked. They really did.
Yeah, no, I remember reading that it was like that night. It was like the nut reports of UFOs.
Yes.
Skyrocketed.
Yes. So.
All right. So question 5. Night of the Lepus, filmed in 1972, is about what? Gigantic killer rabbits.
I know that you were hoping that it was the sassy red pandas.
I was indeed.
So when this came out in 1972, it was panned. Everyone laughed about the acting, but it has since become sort of a cult classic. And I can remember being, because it came out when I was like 9 or 10. So I can remember watching it and just, not really being afraid, but very interested in gigantic rabbits and how could that really happen? And, so it's an interesting piece of Arizona history,
It is, and it was filmed kind of all over southern Arizona. So, like, if you go to Ajo, there is a mural talking about Night of the Lepus.
Night of the Lepus, that's right.
And I know pre-COVID, they were showing the movie once a year down there, which I was going to try and get to that once I discovered that, and sadly never made it down. So, I hope they reinstall that.
That would be really fun. It would be really fun to see it on because I saw it on a television screen, so it'd be really fun to watch it on a big screen.
Right, but, I agree. With an audience that's very much appreciative of what it is.
Absolutely, and Janet Leigh.
Exactly, and Janet Leigh, and and also Dr. McCoy from Star Trek is in
it. That's right, Dr. McCoy.
So, which kind of leads us into our next question, which is talking about another Star Trek person, but Captain Kirk.
Yes,
who plays a veterinarian in a movie where he rides a horse in Camp Verde, And that was Kingdom of the Spiders.
Absolutely. William Shatner. What's so funny about Kingdom of the Spiders is, they did have some real tarantulas, right? That they were wrangling in, but a lot of those in that scene there at the movie theater, you're clear it's obviously, they're fake spiders, right?
Right.
But and I'm not afraid of spiders, but I think I would be afraid of them if my town was overrun by them. And the very last scene of Kingdom of the Spiders is so creepy because the camera pans out and you see that the spiders have covered the whole town in webs. So it is really creepy. Yeah.
Well, and I was reading something that talked about when they were making the movie, they had problems because the tarantulas can become carnivorous. And so they had to keep all these tarantulas they were using in separate little cases.
Yes, I think I read that as well.
So, which would have been a pain in the tuchus. It's like by the time you get them all out, it's like, do they start eating each other or what? And and then there's Captain Kirk in the middle of it all.
That's right, riding his horse, trying to figure out the mystery. And I believe the female lead was like a Playboy bunny. I can't remember her name. She was a model. It was her first serious role, so that's why she took it, because she was just tired of being the pretty girl. So I thought that was really interesting.
Hopefully not her last.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. Very cool. A little breaking out of typecasting, which is always a good thing. All right, so question 7 is all about Arizona vampires. And what 87 film directed by Catherine Bigelow? And it is Near Dark.
Yes, Catherine Bigelow, who several years ago won Best Female Director. I think she was the first Best Female Director for Near Dark 30, I believe. So that's Catherine Bigelow. Near Dark is one of my favorite vampire films. It really, truly is. Lance Henriksen, who's done 1 million films, is the lead. So, and Bill Paxton, the late Bill Paxton. So it's a great film.
Oh, wow.
Came out in the 80s, 87, I believe. And so if you get a chance to watch it, please do.
I'm going to have to go track it down because when you mentioned that, I don't know the movie, but I can change that.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone can.
All right. So Angels Go to War in what 1995 fantasy thriller starring Christopher Walken? And it's See the Prophecy. The Prophecy.
So this was out like around Superior area. That The Prophecy was filmed. And they made several, sequels, but the first one is the best, of course. And Christopher Walken is doing Christopher Walken, right?
So not really acting, just playing himself.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course Viggo Mortensen plays the devil. So it's really interesting.
Wow. And and speaking of films done in Superior, that brings us to our next movie.
Yes.
Back in 2002, what arachnids went wild in Superior? And it was the Eight-Legged Freaks.
That's right. Superior, portions of Glendale, even. Again, the time of year that Eight-Legged Freaks came out, it was like 2002, I believe. And it was just so fresh because we hadn't had, a monster movie for a long time. So I really liked what they did with Eight-Legged Freaks.
Well, I love it's like we were famous for giant rabbits, giant spiders. So
yeah, and then lots of spiders, multiple spiders.
Exactly, lots of spiders.
Yes.
I know. It's like, I should look. I don't know where Them was. I'm assuming Them was filmed in California. That classic horror movie with the really giant ants.
Yes.
I think with Joan Collins. I'm assuming that was California.
I don't know, because it was kind of swampy. Remember, they were kind of in the swamps. Let me see. Them was the attack of the big. I thought the great big ant, like it was came out in like Atomic Age. And then the one with Joan Collins is they were taking a tour.
Oh, I moved my movies up. Oops.
That's okay. I do that all the time. I do it all the time because I see so many. So yeah, they're in kind of a swampy area. They're in a group and they're being attacked by giant ants as well.
But when you said swampy, that made me think of
Empire of the Ants. I think it's Empire of the Ants.
Oh, you're right. It is Empire of the Ants.
Empire of the Ants. Yeah, that was I think like 70s, like late 70s.
Well, and then so another that's really bad horror movie that has an Arizona connection is Frogs.
Oh yeah, I love that film.
Because it stars Miss Arizona in 1957.
Ray Milland, yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a star-studded cast.
Yeah, and they're on the island, and they're trying to eradicate all of the animals off the island, and the animals sort of turn against them. But the movie poster was just, it was crazy. It was the guy, the frog with the hand hanging out of his mouth.
Exactly. I show that as often as I can.
Classic.
It's one of my favorite trailers to show because you just hear this ribbit, ribbit in the background.
Yes.
So. All right. In 2007, what film is also known as Alien Invasion Arizona?
Yes, the Selena incident. This was an interesting film because it was convicts who get sort of caught up in this town, and then there's an alien there, and he's attacking and killing everyone. So there's some really good jump scares in the Selena incident.
It's funny trying to even find the posters. It kept pulling up Selena.
Oh. The Taino singer, yeah,
indeed, and I'm like, I know that. I know that's not what you're looking for.
No, it's Invasion Arizona.
Exactly,
absolutely. So Invasion Arizona, I think, was closer to. I'm trying to think. I know it has an Arizona connection. I'm just trying to think of the area that it was filmed in. Let me just. Real quick.
Because I know nothing about this film. That's why I love the fact you brought up some films I don't know anything about. So I'm like, all right, time for a movie night.
Superior as well. Superior.
I didn't realize.
Around the Superior area.
Wow.
So, convicts on a bus, they get into a bus accident. They head into this town to seek shelter. And the alien, it's really just one alien who's 7 foot tall, who starts taking them out one by one.
So he's not happy they're coming to town.
No, he is not, or it's not. I don't know what it identifies.
True. I mean, they are not happy.
That's right.
There's convicts coming to town.
Convicts coming to town, and so it's almost like the convicts kind of get what they deserve in the long run, because they weren't very good people.
Indeed. All right. And now we have our bonus question, which I don't know where my bell is. It's like, who moved my bell? All right. So name the 2010 remake that had a lake full of killers. Piranha 3D.
Absolutely. Piranha 3D. Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu. I believe that every single Piranha film has been filmed in the Lake Havasu area. So it's just, you get that 3D, so you get that little extra, the fish, the piranha swimming right into your face, all of that,
So did they do anything special so you knew to put your glasses on so the fish would swim right up to you?
Well, they give you the glasses at the beginning of the film, so it's all in 3D. So yeah, you just watch it through 3D. It's really sort of comical, though. I would not want to be in the middle of a school of piranha, because that's not comical. But
no.
I think the piranha films never take themselves too seriously, I think. So that's what makes it funny. That's what makes it so funny, is because they never take themselves too seriously. So
well, the first Piranha was not a serious movie at all.
No.
And so I can't imagine 3D would have changed anything, except now they're jumping out at you.
Exactly.
Little tiny mouths and so many teeth.
Yes.
So now we do have, so I'm gonna actually throw this question up on screen just because. So I guess there used to be a movie studio out on like 99th Avenue and McDowell back in the
Wow.
90s.
Wow.
I mean, I knew about like 40th Street and Camelback, but I didn't realize there was then another one out there. Because I know then Cave Creek you had Dick Van Dyke Studio.
Oh.
So
yeah. Maybe one of your viewers has the answer.
Actually, that's why I threw it up there, because that's, I love kind of the group think of like, oh, somebody there might know. Somebody there might actually be living in it right now.
That's right.
So we always wind up, it's like, how did people do? Because, it's always kind of fun. It's like, to challenge yourself. But, I always tell people, just because you're here, that means you are indeed a winner. It doesn't matter how many you got right or wrong, but look at the fun stories and look at the movies you now have to go watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they all have an Arizona connection. So when you're watching them, pay attention. Maybe you've gone out to those areas, right? Driven past them. So pay attention. Or do a road trip and just go around to where all of these films were created and see if you recognize those areas.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the fun. I mean, that's why we did a program up in Conwood, just looking at the history of the films in the area, which was fascinating. Yeah. And the variety of films that have been shot in Arizona. People just think it was Westerns. So I'm so glad that you kind of took the other way of showing, that it wasn't just Westerns. It was a lot of other types of movies.
Yeah. And, because I'm a horror fan. So I wanted to see what horror films have been made in Arizona.
There's one that was filmed in, which I can't make it to the trailer. It's so gory. That was filmed up in Cleator. That little town before you go to Crown King.
Oh, really?
That looks like it's right for a horror movie, and I forget the name of it. It's like Machete or something, but it's like I made it like 30 seconds into the trailer, and there's blood squirting everywhere, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pass. So tell us about the film festival that you put on.
Once a year. It's always Thanksgiving weekend. So it's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after Thanksgiving. It's called A Night of Misfit Films. I am in Scottsdale at the Octane Multimedia Studios, and you have to be 21 to attend because there's liquor and there's food. And I do a horror sci-fi night. I do a comedy and drama night, and then I do international films as well. They're all short films, no longer than 15 minutes. And it's truly independent. So come out and support true independent filmmakers and their films. You can follow A Night of Misfit Films on Instagram to just keep up to date with everything that's happening with A Night of Misfit Films. Yeah. So it's a good time had by all. We're in our 7th year. And I know that a lot of people have said, hey, you're the best kept secret in the Valley. So, but we want to change that. We want
exactly.
We want more people to come out and enjoy a little, a beer, a glass of wine, and have something to eat and eat popcorn and candy, of course. And, again, support the community, support the community.
Yeah, I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, you got such a unique eye, and that's what I really appreciate about the films you select. Is it's not stuff you're going to go to Harkins and see.
Yes. That's important to me. It's important because
very much so. And also the variety of stories you told. It wasn't. Some of them were, I would say, topics that might be questionable, but in the environment and kind of where they were situated, it was like I found everything really when I say enjoyable, it's not like, oh my God, it was just a laugh a minute, but it was a learning process.
Mm-hmm. And again, remember how we were talking about stories at the beginning of your show about how everybody has a story, and everyone does have a story, it just reminds me that I see the world the way I am, through my eyes, the way I am, and that's how other filmmakers are. They see the world the way they are, and I enjoy being able to sort of peek into their creative process and what they, how they're looking at the world. So come out and support us. And
I'll be pushing it up until the night of. And so
good.
Come out
and people will be able to see you there.
I'm going to be there having so much fun.
Yes.
Watching some great films.
Absolutely.
So, so cheers to Liquid Death.
Cheers to Liquid Death.
Indeed.
Yeah. And cheers to you, Marshall.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
And to A Night of Misfit Films.
See, and perfect. You got because Anita just said, what was the name of the film again? And Anita, don't worry. I'm going to be reposting it over and over and over till people are sick of hearing about it because it was so much fun.
Yes. And you know what? The reason why I always have it Thanksgiving weekend is that sometimes, you can bring your family if you want to bring your family. They're 21. If you, or actually, yes. So you have to be 18, but 21, of course, to drink. You may want to it's a holiday weekend, so you may want to just disappear from your family for a few minutes and just come out and have, be with adults and again, have adult conversation and meet filmmakers. And filmmakers love talking about their films. So, if you have questions, you can ask. Everyone's really approachable and we just want you to have a good time.
Yeah. And I thought that was actually really cool that so many of the filmmakers had traveled to get there, which was really cool. Yeah.
I was very honored that they said, hey, we're going to go to A Night of Misfit Films and be there to represent, our film. So I can screen a film, but I can't really represent it because I didn't make it. So it's so nice when filmmakers show up and they're there, they can talk about their film, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Dana, thank you so much for showing your passion.
Thank you.
And as we talked, it's about all those different voices that are now out there.
Yes, absolutely.
So, well, thank you again so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You as well. And I am looking forward to the next cocktail for next Thursday.
Very good. All right. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
All right. So now we are moving on to From the Vault. And so tonight it truly is From the Vault. Oh, and I see someone just ask about Bingo. Right now, Bingo, I think, is on a little hiatus. It may change locations. We shall see. So I love doing Bingo. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that back. So I will let you know when we get an official what's going on and where it's happening. So From the Vault. So tonight we're actually going to talk about a place with vaults. And so that would be a cemetery. So, and it's really a unique cemetery because it's a historic cemetery where the last person was buried back in 1914. It's really large and has a ton of history. And so what's been going on, if people have driven by it recently, you may have seen some of the headstones maybe in bags, people out there working on them. And what they're doing is they're out there restoring. So the cemetery itself is over on basically Jefferson and like 15th Avenue to, we'll say like 13th Avenue, I think. And like, it's actually really large. I think it's 7 different cemeteries. So yeah, I mean, there's tons of history there. And so there have been a series of folks down there working on headstones, repairing them because, some of those can get really old and have been weathered. If something happens and they may fall over and crack, how do they fix those? So there have been, for several years, there have been a slew of volunteers that have gathered to share exactly that kind of, how do we save that history? I mean, we were just talking this morning about how they really were pulling out things from the mausoleum that had been sitting in there for decades because they were in disrepair. And so there were a variety of groups. I mean, I know the DAR were down there doing things. So it was so much fun. This year, they also had Cronkite did a little piece on them, and that's the last piece we're going to watch before we say goodnight and farewell. So now you'll see why I think you should be sharing this on Facebook, because we always have so much fun and we learn so many things. And, you never know. I mean, someone mentioned maybe Avondale Studios. Maybe that was the name. I don't know. But, I bet before next week, we'll probably know what the name of that studio was. So next week, we have Douglas Miles coming up, who is an artist, and it's going to be a really great episode. I love his work. I love his kind of community champions of what he does out there and his support of so many other artists. So that's going to be a not to miss one. Now, remember, always, if you have stories, suggestions, comments, please share them either in the chat or you can throw them off to me through social media. I always want to give a shout out to Cole and Chris for that great video intro, as well as on World Bartender Day. Thank you, PJ, for always coming up with some really amazing beverages for us to partake in. And I'm glad we're actually able to get Dineta one so that way we could both share the same cocktail. All right, so there's how you can reach me. I am going to actually show the bit that Cronkite News created on the cemetery and the preservation that's going on right now as we speak. So everyone, I will see you next Thursday, 7 o'clock. And get ready for some fun.
With the growth of genealogy companies, people are looking for more and more ways to research their family histories. Well, there's one place in Phoenix where you're able to go back 130 years to find ancestors. Samantha Chow introduces us to the people that are ensuring this place exists for future generations.
Sometimes I wonder, what is the point? If nobody's coming to visit, why are we maintaining cemeteries that no longer seem to have a function? Cemeteries aren't for the dead, they're for the living. And usually after a couple generations, the family stops visiting. So that's when deterioration and problems start to happen. But there's such an interest in genealogy today. You can't just go on Ancestry.com and find everything. There's a lot of things there, but you need to come to the cemetery to get the details. These may be the only record that they were ever on this planet.
The Pioneer Cemetery Association is a keeper of historic cemeteries. They do research. They also help out with this cemetery, which is the Pioneer and Military Memorial Park, and we just try to watch over.
Today I'm cleaning a grave site. It's of a little 5-year-old girl. Her name was Amy, and the monument to her, it's not just a headstone, it looks like a little cradle around her grave.
We know how to look at it and know that it was never put together. It was just kind of sat there. This one we're taking all apart, cleaning, then we'll use a setting compound and set it together.
1 degree off, I can look at that.
So it'll stay in one piece.
They brought me in to work on some of the more complicated problems.
Oh, yeah, we need to get some boards.
Sometimes it's like a jigsaw puzzle without the box.
I think I can do that.
You're working with pieces that sometimes are just small fragments. We're repairing them with an epoxy, and then whether it's a crack or just a huge chunk of the stone missing will all be replicated with a lime-based patching material. We'll do our best to make the patches not so obvious. We're not making them look new, we're just trying to preserve everything we have and make them stable.
So when you see something bagged, that means it's been worked on.
At some point, somebody's going to come in here looking for this information, and it'll be there for them if we preserve it.